ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Myself Poonam Kaur, Assistant Professor, Government First Grade College, Bagipalli. So friends, today we will be discussing a subject called Consumer Behavior, which is for BBA 5th semester, Bengaluru North University. Okay. Environmental determinants of consumer behavior, which is the third chapter of the syllabus. And under that chapter, today we will be discussing the concept group dynamics and reference groups influences. So first, exactly before starting the today's topic, we will first recap what was discussed in the previous session, which is relating to the topic cross-cultural influences on consumer decision making. So how different cultures are influencing a particular consumer for making their decision. So different cultures have their different standards and code of conduct for buying a particular product or service. So different localities, different geographical areas, different countries will be having different cultures. So how all these cultures can be combined and can be used for making a particular influence on consumer to buy the product or service, that we have seen in a previous class. So the learning objective of this particular chapter states that the objective of this chapter is to understand the environmental determinants of the consumer behavior, how the environment plays an important role for shaping a particular consumer's behavior. Now, in today's topic, the session outcomes are the students will be able to understand the group dynamics and the reference groups and how these group dynamics and reference group will influence on consumer decision making process, and how the consumers will be using this group dynamics and the reference groups as a base for making their decisions of buying a product or service. Now let us start exactly what is the topic which is relating to the group dynamics. So before going exactly to group dynamics, let us understand what is a group. So a group is like two or more people who share the goals. People see themselves as members and there is interaction among members. All these constitute a particular team, and the team in formal way we call it as a group, like two or more people coming together, sharing their common goals, and they see themselves as members and they see themselves as coordinated particular members of that particular team or group, and there will be interaction among those members, like what is to be done, how it is to be done, when it is to be done. All these interactions will take place for achieving the shared goals. So this constitutes a group. Now, what is the concept of group dynamics? So it was by Kurt Lewin who founded the need to study the concepts which are relating to a particular group, where the group decisions, group productivity, group interactions, group cohesiveness, and group communication, these all take place. So anything which is relating to a group, this all is being studied under this group dynamics concept. So the underlying assumption was that the laws of a group behavior can be established independently of the goals or specific activities of group irrespective of the structure of the group. So whether the structure of the group is formal or informal or whatever it might be, but compulsory the group dynamics should be framed based on the laws of the group behavior, and those group behavior are independent of the goals or specific activities of that particular group. Now, the group dynamics is constituted with the two terms like group and dynamics. Okay. Now we know the group is like two or more people who are sharing the common goals and who interacts among themselves. Now what is the dynamics? So the group is basically, it is collectivity of two or more persons. Now dynamics comes from the Greek word which means force. So what is that force? Which is forcing us to be in the group and to perform the group duties. Thus, group dynamics is concerned with the interactions of forces among group members in a social situation. Like we are interacting with the different forces when we are the part of group, and those forces will shape the group members in a social situations how they need to react. Now, now let us see what are the types of groups. So the types of groups are basically like there are two types of groups, like formal groups and informal groups. So we might have heard formal groups and informal groups. Now formal groups are again of two types, that is command groups and task group. And informal groups are like interest groups and friendship groups. So formal groups are those groups which are structured, which have certain standard rules, regulations to be followed, which will have certain standard format to be followed. Under this, we have command and task groups. Informal groups are those groups which will be framed automatically by our nature of interests and by our nature of behavior. Like we have, if I am interested in playing particular sports, so I will just go and join with that particular sports players who are playing. And friendship groups, so friendship groups are also like they are framed automatically with our behavior, how we behave, how we communicate with each other. Automatically these groups would be framed. Now, so now let us see the another concept which is part of today's session, like what is a reference group. Okay, so these reference groups are like any person or group of people who significantly influences an individual's behavior. It can be an individual person or it can be a group of persons, peoples, who significantly influence on individual's behavior, who influences individual to buy product or to not to buy product or to take a particular decision. He would be influenced by these groups. Like example, celebrities, athletes, political leaders, or anything it might be. Like we like if I want to go for a particular any product to buy, so I will see in a TV, if we have seen an advertisement where a particular celebrity is promoting the product, and then if I am moving for a market to buy that product, I will remember that particular celebrity's advertisement and I'll take my decision. Oh, he was using this product, I'll also buy it. This is called reference group. How they are referring my behavior, how they are influencing my behavior or particular individual's behavior. Like as athletes or any political leader, like if we see a cricketer in any in endorsing any of the product, and while buying the such kind of products, we will go with that brand only where that particular cricketer was endorsing that product or promoting that product. So there constitutes the reference group. Likewise, group of individuals with similarities are constituted as reference group. Like we have musical groups or sport teams. Like if I am interested in sports and someone else person is also interested in the same sports, he and me, we may join in a particular same group. That is what reference group can constitutes. Then under this reference groups, let us see what are the types of reference groups. Like we have first primary groups, a social aggregation that is sufficiently intimate to permit and facilitate unrestricted direct interaction. Like it is a social aggregation where we need not to follow certain standard particular rules, regulations to join that group. It is a social aggregation where unrestricted direct interaction, we will not be having any restrictions to interact with those people who are there in a primary group. So this primary Okay. So this primary groups is like a social aggregation that is sufficiently intimate to permit and facilitate unrestricted direct interaction. Under this example is the family. The family of a consumer plays an important role in the decision making process. If a consumer want to go for buying any of the product, family plays an important role. The family constitutes parents, siblings, or it might be any relatives who always have an impact on influencing a particular person for buying or not buying a particular product or service. Their views plays an important role. So how the family members are giving their particular opinion about one product or service, that opinion plays an important role in shaping the decision whether to buy that product or not to buy. Okay, the next is under the types of reference group, the next is secondary groups. Secondary groups, these are also, they also have direct interaction, but it is more sporadic. Like they don't influence directly on the consumer, but they influence indirectly. So less comprehensive and less influential in shaping the thought and behavior. Example for this is like professional associations or any community organizations, where community organization will be influencing on that particular consumer's behavior, consumers behavior towards buying or not buying. Likewise, professional associations also will be playing an important role as a reference group. The next is formal groups. Formal groups are characterized by a defined structure, like they are oftenly in the written format where certain particular standard rules, regulations, or structure, or the way of performing their duties, everything would be in a written format. Those are known as formal groups. And there will be a particular list of members and requirements for the membership, like who want to become member of this group, they have to follow certain strict certain set standard guidelines. Like next we have informal groups. Informal groups have less structure than formal groups and are likely to be based on friendships or interest. They are like they automatically are framed. They need not any particular standard structured format, but they will be automatically be framed based on our interests and based on our friendships. Then we have membership groups. The name very says that membership groups are those groups where the individuals are recognized as members of a group. If they want to be part of that groups, they have to take the memberships. So to take the membership, there will be certain standard set rules. If I want to become the member of that particular group, I have to adopt that membership guidelines. Then we have aspirational groups. Aspirational groups are like they exhibit a desire to adopt the norms, behaviors, and values of others with whom the individuals aspire to associate. Like we will be having certain personalities whom we aspire, whom we aspire or admire them. Like I want to become a part of that company. I want to become part of that particular group. Like we will be having certain person or certain personality where we admire them and we want to follow them and we will be following their footsteps. Likewise, we have dissociative groups. Those are the groups from which an individual tries to avoid association. Like we want to be departed from those kind of groups where I don't want my name to be introduced with that particular group. We will be trying to be far from that group. Then we have again is virtual groups. These virtual groups are again playing an important role in the present scenario of digital networking world, where these groups are based on virtual communities rather than geographical ones. Like virtual, the word itself says that like we need not to be particular present in particular one geographic area. It is a worldwide. Wherever I'll be, I can be connected through virtual groups. Like so now we have discussed the concept of reference group, where we have seen how these reference groups are influencing a particular individual or a consumer for buying decision, or how they are influencing a consumer behavior, how they are influencing a particular consumer to shape their behavior. So the direct influence and indirect influences. So direct influences can be done in two ways. that is the primary groups and secondary groups. Primary groups again constitutes those opinion shaped due to continuous informal interaction with the family, friends, neighbors or any other co-workers. Secondary groups constitutes they are shaped by formal interactions with religious, professionals and trade unions. Likewise, then we have indirect influence. Indirect influences are those aspirational groups, like they will not influence directly, but they are playing important role. These are one that a person hopes to join. That is what I said. Like whom we admire, we want to become. Or like example, if I am good at cricket, so I have one personality in cricket whom I admire and I want to play with them. So that is what I want to join with that particular team where that my admired person is playing. That is what aspirational groups. Indirect influence again includes disassociative groups where one whose value a person rejects. Like I don't want to be part of that group. I totally reject that particular community. So likewise, these are all the reference groups. So in our today's sessions, we have discussed two concepts, that is one is group dynamics and the reference groups. Thank you. Thank you one and all.